Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, the current session focuses on the differences between the American English and the British English at the lexical and semantic levels. I hope by the end of this session you would have further clarity about the differences that exist between the two varieties of English on both the lexical and the semantic levels. Well, my dear students, a lexicon is not made up of different words, but different units of meaning. That is, lexical units or lexical items. For example, fly ball in baseball, including idioms and figures of speech. So, in any language or in any variety of a language, all the figures of speech, all the idioms that are used for various expressions, they are a part of the lexicon of that language. If we think of making comparisons, I would just like you to think about the lexical item biscuit, for example. What do you think? Is its origin in the British English or the American English? Well, as a matter of fact, biscuit is used in the British English. Moving onwards to naff. This is a slang but commonly used to mean not very good. And this again goes unheard in American English. This only is used, it is a part of the usage in the British English. When we talk of the words and phrases that have origins in the American English, actually it's very easy to understand a lot of those words because through social media and through the traditional mass media, a lot of such words we come across in our daily lives. I'm just showing here on the screen a few examples to show how, the two varieties offer two completely different sets of choices for certain, objects. If you look at the screen, sidewalk is used in the US English, the American English, whereas the British would, use the word pavement. The Americans would say, I need to get gas for my car. But the British would say, I need to get petrol for my car or gasoline for my car. Counterclockwise. This is what the Americans would use, whereas the British would say anti-clockwise. The British would say elevator. I would use the elevator to go to the third floor, whereas the British would say lift. The differences are not only in terms of the choice of the words, but also there are certain words that are used in both the varieties, that is the British variety and the American English variety. However, the meanings vary, the meanings differ. I would give you again the examples of bill and of biscuit. Well, as a matter of fact, both these words are used in both of the varieties, that is the British and the American English. However, the meanings are different when it comes to the usage. So, for instance, if we focus on the first word, this word, bill, in American English, a bill is a paper money, dollar bill. So, all right, so my daughter was away for a while. She was in the US for a couple of years. And when she came back, there was this constant problem going at my home. She would say, can I have a few bills? So what she would mean by that is, a few what we call notes, some money, a few rupees. Because this is how it is used for dollar, for example, dollar bill in the US. But since we have more the British tradition, so, I was not used to that. So, in the British English, it refers to, electricity bill or gas bill or telephone bill, etc. Well, if we go to the second example, that is of the term biscuit, in American English, the word biscuit, as it comes from the French, twice baked as a biscotto, the biscotto, the term that is the root, from where it is borrowed. But in the British English, it is called a scone. And a biscuit in British and American English, that is called biscuit in American English. In American English, that is a cookie. So, Americans would call it a cookie, what we also generally call a biscuit. That is, the form of the Dutch small cake kind of a stuff. In the UK, the word whilst is historically, acceptable as a conjunction, as an alternative to while. So, both can be used in the UK, in the British context. Whereas in the American English context, you would only, use while. This is acceptable, but whilst is not acceptable in the American variety. Moving onwards with these differences, in the UK, the term period for a full stop. What we call a full stop, sometimes, and sometimes we call it a period. In the UK, the term period is not used. The British variety only has full stop, whereas the American variety uses period for that. In American English, full stop is rarely used for punctuation mark, actually. For example, terrorism is wrong. Look at this example, please. Terrorism is wrong, full stop. Whereas in American English, somebody would say, terrorism is wrong, period, which means a full stop to this, no more conversations about this, or no more considerations about this. Few more examples. Americans say happy holidays, especially when it comes to the holidays that are related to certain religious, observances or ceremonies, etc. In the UK, holiday season is used, and holiday period is generally used for the summer vacation. Actually, this is used for that summer vacation time when, people are off from their work, from wheresoever, they do their jobs or they work in offices. American English uses vacation for that. The American English has lost a lot of vocabulary items which have survived in British English. You look at these examples. Waistcoats, or generally what we also call waistcoat, is a name of a garment that the Americans call vest. This term has disappeared from the American English. Well, my dear students, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a slide where you would see the names of certain objects from everyday life or certain lexical items written in British English. I would like you to think about the American varieties of that. Once you would be done with that, let's see what we can do. So here we go. On the screen, you can see, if you look at the screen, here the British options are given. Here the space is left empty for you to think about the American, English options for these words. Same goes for this set as well. So, there are quite more than a dozen of words that you can work on. You may pause here and work on it for a while. Once you have thought well about these, you have taken notes of these, or you have at least consciously tried or made an effort to understand what can be the possible options in the American English for that, probably you can recall, from your, experience of watching movies and of seasons where, all these everyday items are used. All right, now here on the screen you can see the answers as well. Here are the British English options and here the American English options. These ones are given there, and you can match these with your, answers. These are the answers that I have encircled through these two larger circles. You can compare your answers and you can see, just for a quick reference, if I just focus here, the American candy is the British sweets, for example. The American diaper is the British nappy. The American drapes are the British curtains. Again, in this list, the trainers and the sneakers, the shoes that you wear. Vest, which is undershirt in American English. Whereas, waistcoat, this is interesting, is a vest. So, the meaning of vest differs in both of these varieties. Motorway is British, whereas expressway or freeway is American choice. Torch, flashlight, respectively, are British and American. and so on and so forth. I think if you focus on this activity for a while, it would be a good learning experience that you would enjoy as well. Well, I move on to the next slide, and here again there is just a set of words, the lexical items with American and the British options. And I would not go through all of these, but what you can do is you can just make comparisons on your own by pausing here on this slide for a while, and you can notice the differences in the vocabulary choices. For example, area code is the American choice, whereas dialing code is the British choice. And actually the list is long. You can focus and you can see how, both the varieties of English, they offer different sets of lexical items. Well, my dear students, I hope through these couple of activities, it becomes clear to you that at the lexical and semantic levels, both the American English and the British English are quite different, and each one of them has the distinctive features that differentiates it from the other.